So I want to ask you a question. Who's the prisoner and who's free? Freedom is such an important element of our life. Thank God we live in a free country, free to be able to do whatever we want to do. But you know, a society, a country can only offer us one level of freedom, and that's really a very external level of freedom. The freedom to do to give a person the opportunity to do whatever they want to do. But there's a much deeper and much more important freedom that every single human being needs to strive to give themselves, because no one else can give it to us. And that is the freedom to be. Not the freedom to do, but the freedom to be. That is a truly free person. In fact, when the Jews left Egypt, well, what we witness is a people going from a land which they were not free to do, to suddenly leaving that land and having the freedom to do. But there was a greater freedom that the Jewish people experienced, because it was the freedom to be. They exercised their freedom of choice to choose to become a nation, to become the people of God, to accept the Torah. That's a very deep freedom. That is a freedom to be. And that's the freedom we all pursue. And so I want to share with you my favorite story about freedom, because I think this really brings out exactly what freedom is all about. It's a story with the famous refusenik Natan Sharansky. And he writes in his biography how he was sitting in an interrogation room as a prisoner of the Soviet Union, and he has two interrogators together who are interrogating him. And he said, "I would love to tell them jokes mocking the regime." And so he said, I remember sitting in this room, and I tell them, I heard Brezhnev was really upset when the Americans finally got a man on the moon, and he was furious because how can the Russians be outdone? So he said, we're going to outdo the Americans, and he called in all the cosmonauts, and he said, guys, I have a plan. We're going to outdo the Americans. And so he said, what are we going to do? And he said, you know what? We're going to be the first people to fly someone onto the sun. And these cosmonauts look at him and say, Mr. Brezhnev, with all due respect, did you think this through thoroughly? Because it's clear that on our way up to the sun, we're going to be burned up way before we get near the sun. And so Brezhnev looks at them and says, what do you think, we're a foolish country? You think we didn't think of that? We'll send you at night. And of course, when Natan Sharansky says this joke, he looks at the interrogators, and both of them, with all of their might, are controlling themselves from laughing. Because if, God forbid, one sees the other laughing, that can put them in serious trouble. Mocking the regime, number one. Not doing their job, number two. And so then he turns to them and he says, look at this. I'm saying a joke, I'm rolling in laughter, and the two of you want to laugh and you can't laugh. So I want to ask you a question. Who's the prisoner and who's free? And this really sums up what freedom is about. Someone can take a human being and lock them up and not let them physically move, but they can still be a free person. And there can be another person who can do whatever they want. Freedom, like a free country. You can do whatever you want, but they're so locked up to the peer pressures around them, to the dictates of the society around them, to expectations that people have of them, and they don't find the courage to be themselves, to be who they are, to be free. And this is really the story of Passover, the story of Pesach for each and every one of us. And if we take this even a step further, let's go really deep with this. It's possible for someone to do a mitzvah in slavery. And then it's possible, of course, for someone to do a mitzvah as a free man. So God tells us to do something, and we can do it, and we should do it. Sometimes, though, we do it because it's expected of us. Our friends expect us to do it. Sometimes we do it because it'll give us status. We do it for some reason, but we're not doing it because we want to do it. We believe in doing it for itself. When we're free, we really connect with every experience that we had, and we really do it because we want to do it, not for any other reason. That's freedom. May God give us, each and every one of us, the inspiration to find freedom in our lives, to really do it.
If you like that video, hit the subscribe button and notification bell below for hours of the best Jewish content online.